What's going on, guys? It's your boy YoshiKartGP, and I'm back with the long-awaited part 3 of JoJo's education system. Quick recap for anyone who's new. This is a series that aims to take an in-depth look at the educational practices presented in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Sounds boring? Well, given the response on my Instagram, I say you guys really enjoy these videos. With that being said, don't forget to check out parts 1 and 2 if you haven't already. Grab your hat and start punching your great-great-granduncle as we encounter an enemy stand user in the form of Part 3, Stardust Crusaders. Now before we begin, this video should not be taken as judgmental or offensive. I am merely discussing what characters say and do in Stardust Crusaders and comparing them to what was accurately occurring in the real world in which they were inspired by. Also, I will only examine traditional schooling practices and profession training, meaning various religious teachings will not be covered as they are not viewed as accredited education in this sense. With that out the way, let's begin. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3 Stardust Crusaders begins in 1988 Japan. The story revolves around Joseph Joestar, his grandson Jotaro Cujo, and their allies traveling from Southeast Asia to North Africa. Dio Brando has returned, and with him is a new power entitled Stan. Because of his connection with the Joestar family, the living relatives start to develop their own Stan power. However, Jotaro's mother, Holly, didn't possess the fighting spirit in order to tame her Stan. Diagnosed with only 50 days to live, Jotaro and the gang set their sights on Dio in hopes of curing his mother and ending the century-long feud. Now our first example of education is provided to us by Mama Joestar herself, Holly Cujo. While visiting the jail where her son Jotaro Cujo is being detained, an officer compliments Holly on her Japanese. She thanks him and explains that she's been living in Japan for 20 years. According to the LanguageDoctors.org, a website that hosts professionals who translate and localize languages for the US federal government, Japanese is considered to be the third hardest language to learn in the world. Although that won't stop anime fans from watching Raw episodes. It's not too surprising that Holly became fluent in Japanese, given how long she has resided in the country. I'm pretty sure it was a learning process that took time and studying. Though we don't see Holly much in the story, she presents herself as an upbeat, hard worker who can do anything she puts her mind to. Heck, she even has an entire library in her mansion. You go, Holly. Hope you get well soon. Next, we'll be tackling two characters at once, as both of these young men were born and raised in Japan. Jotaro Cujo and Noriaki Kakyoin most likely began elementary school at the average age of 6. During his inner monologue, Kakyoin reflects on not having any friends during this time, his reason being that he didn't believe anyone could truly understand him if they couldn't see his hierophant green. Jotaro, on the other hand, was probably a nice and cheerful boy who had gained plenty of friends. The subjects these boys would have studied include Japanese, mathematics, science, social studies, physical education, and more. Though most of these subjects would remain the same throughout their student life, English is introduced towards the end of elementary school. Over the past century, English has become a mandatory subject for Japanese students. This is given a glimpse by Jotaro during his fight with Rubber Soul, where he says, "Do you understand?" Although he could have just been making fun of Rubber Soul since he's repeated the phrase throughout the entire fight. During middle school is where Japanese students start to participate in extracurricular activities such as sports, music, or board games. Jotaro is seen taking up track and field and even participates in the track meet. We don't know if Kakyoin participated in any sports, but if I were to guess, it was probably between painting or baseball. In his first introduction, he is seen painting while attacking Jotaro with hierophant green. This always struck me as odd, but maybe he did it out of passion. Secondly, after having his eyes bandaged, he tells the group a story of him being in middle school and how his schoolmate got hit in the eye with a baseball. This could point to him being a member of the baseball club, or he could have heard it through another source. Jotaro and Kakyoin are both juniors in high school, with Kakyoin transferring to Jotaro's school a day before he leaves jail. A group of Jotaro's female classmates were wondering why he missed 4 days of school. This means Jotaro returned to class on a Friday, as Japanese students in the 1980s were required to attend school on Saturdays. I believe my hypothesis to be correct is Jotaro swears that he's going to attend school the very next day, which, if I am to believe the JoJo Wiki, is November 29th, 1988. That's right, I'm really diving into facts. With that being said, totaling the number of days he missed prior, plus traveling to Egypt, minus the one Sunday every week, Jotaro Cujo has skipped 49 days of school, while Kakyoin missed 44 and counting. During their adventure, Jotaro and Kakyoin both displayed incredible medical practices. Jotaro was able to remain calm and use Star Platinum's precision to remove Dio's flesh bud from Kakyoin and Polnareff's brain. That level of concentration is insane, and puts him on the same level as a neurosurgeon, which takes no less than 13 years to become. That's not all. During the final battle with Dio, Jotaro was able to stop his heart from pumping, and then resuscitate it while fading out of consciousness. Then he did it again, for his grandfather Joseph, when he assisted the Speedwagons Foundation's attempt to give Joseph a blood transfusion. Bravo, Jotaro! Pretty soon, we're going to have to start calling you Dr. Cujo. Kakyoin also deserves some praise, as he was the MVP during the lovers' fight with Steely Dan. He proposed the idea of shrinking Hierophant Green and Silver Chariot down to micro size, entering through a vein in Joseph's ear, swimming through blood vessels, and heading towards the brainstem. Crazy, right? I definitely couldn't devise a plan like that at 17. He even instructed Polnareff where to make incisions for a quicker route. While both these Crusaders are very intelligent, neither one of them are the smartest Japanese character we see in the story. No, that accolade belongs to Tatsuhiko, with an IQ of 190. What? You don't know who that is? Come on now, he was a part of Talent's T. Darby's collection. I think you guys are just pulling my leg. You know Tatsuhiko. Lastly, there is a running gag with Jotaro and Kakyoin being students. They never want to take off their school uniform. Kakyoin goes sunbathing with his uniform during the Rubber Soul arc in the anime. Jotaro tries to stop the nurse from cutting his school pants, even though they are bloody. Jotaro even gets a new tailor-made uniform in Pakistan after his fight with Wheel of Fortune burned his previous one. When confronted by Joseph as to why they keep their school uniforms on all the time, Kakyoin jokingly replies, "Because we are students. A good student always dresses the part," in which Jotaro holds in his laughter. Leaving Japan behind, we'll now be heading towards the country of love, France. It is here we'll be discussing Jean-Pierre Polnareff's sister Sherry. Sherry attended school in a small countryside village in France. However, we never find out what her level of education was. Her appearance in the anime and manga depicts her as a teenager, so she must have been in either middle school or high school, which in French is called collège and lycée, respectively. Primary education in France is free. However, there are also private schools in which majority of them practice Catholicism. The country even has a complimentary daycare for children 6 and under. On their way to school, Sherry and her classmate will become victims of Jay Galley. While the classmate was able to escape with their life, Sherry was not so fortunate. While traveling through the city of Benares in North India, Joseph Joestar is unknowingly attacked by the Stan Empress. Empress takes the shape of a rock-hard boil on Joseph's forearm, which makes him seek medical attention. The doctor he goes to see assures him that he can remove the boil with no problem, as he studied medicine in England. I find this funny, as you guys know that Joseph is also from England. This is also the second character we encountered in the series to have both Eastern and Western medical knowledge, the first being Ariana Joestar, who coincidentally traveled to India back in the 1880s. The doctor even claims that he can take out an appendix. How much reinsurance can you get? However, in the anime, he is shown to be okay with using rusted medical instruments on affected wounds. So yeah, his manga counterpart seems much more reliable. The unnamed doctor would eventually get killed by Empress, and wow, there are a lot of characters on this list that die. To lighten up the mood from all this death talk, how about we do something fun? We're going to learn about Arabic math. Yeah! After Avdol recovered from his fight with Endul, he and the other Crusaders received the medical bill for Kakyoin's eyes. Polnareff was unable to make out the price, but luckily the bill came with a numeral system. The numeral system used was the Western Arabic numerals, which is commonly used around the world. As you can tell by the name, this practice originated from the East and was later adapted by the West. Before then, the West were using Roman numerals to count and tell time. We are going to learn what 0 through 9 looks like in Arabic and try to retain this information. It should be noted that part 3 is using Eastern Arabic numerals, so that's what we'll be translating. First, the number 0 is just a black dot. Simple enough. The number 1 is a 1. The number 2 looks like a backwards Y. The number 3 is a backwards Y with a little ocean wave at the top right. The number 4 is a backwards 3. The number 5 is a 0. The number 6 is a 7. Oh, come on. The number 7 is a V. The number 8 is an upside down V. Lastly, the number 9 is a 9. Alright guys, did you get all that? Great. So let's see what Kakyoin's total bill came up to. If you guessed 46,350 Egyptian pounds, you'd be correct. This is equivalent to 2,954 US dollars. Let's try another, this time without the numeral system. If you guessed 95,176, you are correct. Isn't math fun? Now, what's a YouTube video in 2021 if you're not talking about politics? That's right, it's time for everyone's favorite politician, Senator Wilson Phillips. Now, the astounded senator was valedictorian in both high school and college. This is an incredible feat. What makes this even more inspiring is that he was the captain of his college wrestling team. Like, where did he find the time to manage all these tasks? Even after becoming senator, Mr. Phillips had the ambition to become president one day. Alas, this is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, so majority of characters die without seeing their dreams come true. Rest in peace, Senator Phillips. Before we get to our last topic, I have a neat little fact to share. The oldest university in Egypt is called Al-Azhar University, which was founded sometime around 970 AD. However, it wasn't recognized as a university until 1961. Before then, Al-Azhar strictly taught Islamic teachings and primary education. Araki sensei wanted to highlight this information for us, so he drew the university alongside other Egyptian landmarks on an overview map. We can see that Dio's mansion is located right around here. Isn't that crazy? I'm pretty sure Dio's curiosity led him to visit the university during one of his nightly outings. I mean, the place is older than he is. With that being said, let's talk Dio. Now, for those of you who watched Education in JoJo, Phantom Blood, you'll remember that Dio graduated from university back in the year 1888. Good for you if you remember. Bad if you haven't watched the video yet. Anyway, we're not talking about Dio's school knowledge, but rather his societal knowledge. You see, Dio is a boomer that has been submerged underwater for 100 years and recently resurrected in 1983. This is 3 to 4 years before part 3 starts. During this time, Dio has experienced firsthand how the world around him has changed. While hunting down the Crusaders, Dio makes mention of cars. He is impressed by their power and speed and reflects how carriages were the only vehicles during his time. He must not have seen Speedwagon from the manga. Wait, you guys don't like to read manga. And even if you did, You guys skip Phantom Blood, so never mind, the joke is super lost on you. It doesn't appear that Dio knows how to operate a car, as he wastes time to threaten Senator Phillips to do it for him. During his fight with Jotaro, Dio's leg gets amputated. He then tells a shop clerk to bring his leg over to him as if she was a flight attendant bringing wine and caviar to a customer in first class? Okay, Mr. Brando. Time out. How do you know all this stuff? I mean, the first commercialized airplane took off in 1914. Or forget about that. I bet money Dio has never ridden an airplane. Either his minions have kept him up to date with all the latest trends, or Dio has been watching a lot of television. I'm pretty sure Dio has learned of other societal terms and inventions, but that will be a video for another day. Alright, time for a quick recap. Holly Cujo learned Japanese after being raised in America most of her life. Jotaro Cujo and Noriaki Kakyoin are two intelligent Japanese high school students, but probably not as smart as Tatsuhiko. Sherry Polnareff was a middle/high schooler whose life was unfortunately cut short. The doctor from Benares studied medicine in England, making him the male counterpart to Ariana Joestar. Sadly, his life was also lost during this story. We learned how to read Eastern Arabic numerals, so good for us. Senator Phillips has the most impressive educational background in Stardust Crusaders, but he passes away too. Lastly, we have Dio, who has been a topic in this series 2 times now. He doesn't know how to drive a car, but he knows about airplane hospitality. He's dead. Hey guys, I know it's been a long time coming for this video. Thank you so much, and I hope I was able to meet or even exceed your expectations. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. If there was anything I missed or forgot to cover, let me know that as well. Until next time, ciao.